Hi folks, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at flattening this slab ready for our desk build. Stick around and we'll see how we get on. So the first job was to make the sled which would carry the router back and forth across the slab. I'm trying to get through as many of the scraps out of the pile in the corner of the workshop as possible, so using some 12mm ply on the bottom and a couple of battens, although they could be a little bit bigger than what they are, they did the job just fine. Now, although it's tempting to get the high-end specialised bits for this, I couldn't see myself doing many slabs, so I bought a fairly budget one off Amazon, but as the results show, it did a really good job, and I'll put a link to this one down in the description. Now, to cut the slot, rather than plunge this bit all the way through, which is not really designed to do, I just plunge it a tiny bit to mark the holes, and then I used a Forstner bit which was somewhere close, it was slightly oversized, to cut all the way through on both ends of the slot. And I've set these in from the end of the sled by a decent amount to allow a bit of meat at the end to keep everything sturdy and rigid, but also wide enough to clear the slab. So I'm now at a point where I'm ready to attempt to flatten this slab. There's a few options. I could hand plane this, and actually down in this corner, just out of impatience, I've hand planed a section just to see what the grain was like, which is quite exciting because if it all comes out like that, it's going to be great. Now what I've got is a fairly straightforward budget flattening bit or surfacing bit for the router. It's only a twin blade, but it's a surface bottom surfacer, I guess you call it. There are 6 wing cutters and 3 wing, and there's all sorts of, if you were doing lots of these, then you'd want to go that route, and ones with replaceable blades. This was just a cheapish Amazon purchase, but it seemed to have fairly good reviews. I haven't gone for the full 2.5 inch huge one. This one I think was 1.5 inches. Let me just check that. Yeah, 1.5 inches, which is what, 30 something. So it will take a few more passes, but I think it's going to be better going on the blade and the router. There's endless tutorials and jigs available online, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but all I've used is a whole bunch of scraps to create this sled. There's a very small. There's a little bit of flex in this side, but only under my pressure. The weight of the router doesn't do anything to it. And I then just liberally kind of chucked a load of furniture wax on there as well, so it's a little bit more slippy, which should help us. I've then installed a couple of bits of ply on the bottom, and because we've got this timber floor in here, which is quite helpful in this respect, because I've just screwed these 63mm studwork timbers down, and they were the flattest and straightest CLS I could find in the store, which for a change they're actually quite straight. They're also just above this slab, so we can get the full depth we need in the router, and we don't have to get an extension for that router bit or anything like that. We should be fine. So this point down here is our lowest spot. By looking at it, it's quite low there as well. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is just run our bit down to just touching that. I think it might be asking a little bit to do this all in one pass, so I'll set it to there. We'll do a quick skim over the whole thing, and then we'll go over it with a final pass, getting all of it. The other thing I've done is I've wedged under this piece of elm so that there's no rocking, because there was quite a bit of twist in it. So I've got a piece of ply under this corner and then some packers around the others. I'm not going to be putting any weight on here, so as long as it's not rocking in itself, then we should be good to go. As you can see, those are our low bits that are left, so that's what we need to go back now and set the bit to clear, and that means taking basically something off everything to get everything completely flat and square to those rails that we've put in. So what I'm doing now is setting the bit to just take off the very deepest part, and by doing that I know it's going to clear there, and then I can go across the whole board and do it all at the same depth. Now, although I'm going back and forth along the sled, I'm only ever cutting from left to right because I'm working up the board facing away from me. So like you would do if you were edging a board, I'm going left to right, then sliding it back up before moving the sled. So with the top face done, we can lift the slab, flip it over, and then we're going to lay it down referencing that good face downwards, which should end up with giving us a even thickness slab all the way across. Then the last thing to do at this stage is for me to just go back, and any of those marks, cut marks from where the edge of the router bit is left, some lines, a tiny like fraction of a millimeter, but it's easy enough to just go over with a plane. They'd probably stand out, but this was just an easy way of getting them flat. Now what we've got is an even thickness flat slab, and the next video is where we're going to turn what is just a smooth slice of tree into something resembling more of a desk. So if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with this project and plenty other projects that we've got going on. But thank you for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.